Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on some really dramatic moments from inside the modern courtroom.
We're looking at cases where law enforcement officers, people who've committed serious misconduct or even crimes, finally face the music.
And we're diving straight into the sources, the raw testimony, some really damning body cam footage, and the pretty spectacular judicial smackdowns that followed.
Yeah, our mission today is all about accountability. It's about how the justice system, processes the very people sworn to uphold it when they're the ones who break that trust.
And we're really going to focus on the most shocking details, the pressure points in testimony, and those moments when a judge just absolutely puts their foot down.
Exactly.
These aren't just records of bad behavior. They're these pivotal moments where the truth, often from a camera, just collides head-on with authority.
So let's jump right in with the sheer pressure of police testimony. We can start with the case around that horrific Waukesha parade incident in 2021.
Right, and the testimony of Officer Jeremy Phillips.
He was called in just to detail his shift, right? Pretty routine stuff, you would think.
Totally routine. He's on normal patrol 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. He gets an emergency call, lights and sirens, for subjects fighting with a knife, a high priority call.
But then that call gets completely overridden.
Yeah, the radio just blows up. You hear 1078, which is, officer needs immediate assistance.
The worst call you can hear.
And then it's just this cascade of reports. 10 people down, then 20, then 40 people down in the street.
So he has to completely abandon the first call.
Immediately. He races to the downtown area to this mass casualty event. But what's so fascinating is what he does after the chaos.
He goes back to that first call.
He goes back to the initial, seemingly small-time assault case. And under cross-examination, he testified that he used police reporting systems to find a link.
A link between what?
Between the victim of that first fight, a woman named Erica Patterson, and the parade defendant, Darrell Brooks.
Wow. So that initial call, the one that got interrupted, it actually became a key piece of the puzzle.
A huge piece. Phillips was able to connect the assault victim to Brooks, and then critically, link Brooks to the red SUV used in the parade tragedy. It just shows how every single detail is scrutinized.
And the pressure on him must have been immense. I mean, you have a defendant like Brooks representing himself, grilling him, asking if he was paid to lie.
Exactly. And that intensity, it actually leads us right into another case where a prior police action became central to a trial.
The testimony used in the Derek Chauvin trial.
Right. Specifically about a prior, very aggressive arrest of George Floyd back in 2019.
So testimony from a completely separate incident was brought into this trial.
It was. And the officer from that 2019 arrest had to admit under oath that he approached Mr. Floyd's car with his gun already drawn.
And he was yelling.
Yelling loudly, yes. And Mr. Floyd's reaction, according to the testimony, was just immediate fear. He said, "Don't shoot me, man. I don't want to get shot."
He complied right away.
Put his hands up.
Yeah.
But the officer admitted he still forcibly grabbed Floyd's hand, slammed it on the dashboard, and just escalated the whole situation incredibly fast.
So why was this even allowed in court? I mean, it's a different incident.
That's the legal strategy. The prosecution used it to establish a pattern. They wanted to show the jury that Mr. Floyd's reactions to police were rooted in, prior traumatic encounters.
So his resistance wasn't just random, it was a conditioned response to fear.
Precisely. It helped paint a picture that his panic was a direct result of past police actions involving drawn guns and immediate escalation. It's a powerful example of how past misconduct can circle back years later.
Which brings us to cases where the misconduct isn't just described later, it's caught on camera.
Yes, and this is where you see some real judicial fury.
Yeah.
When the proof is just undeniable.
Let's talk about Officer Michael Lucy in Tonawanda Town Court. This is back in 2016.
An absolutely egregious display of force, and it happened right inside the court building.
He pulls a man from his seat during an argument.
Forcefully. But it doesn't stop there. He then goes back and shoves the man's wife against a wall. Her head hits the wall, all while she was just trying to intervene.
And what was the initial punishment for that?
Unbelievably minor. A 10-day suspension that was later reduced to just 5 days.
A slap on the wrist?
Barely. And here's the really insidious part. The footage of this incident was hidden for 4 years.
4 years? How did it finally come out?
A local TV station got their hands on it and released it. And only then, after public outrage, was Lucy finally fired. It just shows you how vital that external pressure can be.
And sometimes that video catches more than just physical violence. It catches actual corruption.
Oh, absolutely. Like the Danbury Public Library incident with the auditor, Jean Paul Reyes.
Right? He was just filming in a public place, exercising his First Amendment rights.
And the officers, Tibbetts and Utter, along with the Sergeant Lycabellis, they illegally detain him. They're demanding ID, threatening him with arrest for trespassing.
But the body cam footage is the real smoking gun here, isn't it?
It's the whole story. The footage shows Sergeant Lacabellis actively coaching the security guard, a guy named Phil, who had the first run-in with Reyes.
Coaching him how?
He's helping him write a false statement to justify the physical confrontation, to make sure Phil doesn't get arrested. He literally tells him how to word it, how to describe his use of force to make it look good for court.
While calling the auditor, what was it?
A douchebag and a bozo. All in his own body cam. It's not just bad judgment, it's actively manufacturing a false report.
So what happens when that gets played in court?
It's explosive. All the charges against the auditor are dropped immediately. The judge is visibly enraged. You can see him sustaining objection after objection against the defense as they try to downplay what the sergeant did.
Which leads to those moments where the lie itself becomes the crime.
And the judge just has to step in. We saw this in the 2014 DUI case of Lyd Gonzalez, who was arrested by Officer Michael Wagner.
Wagner claimed he saw her drinking a beer while she was driving.
Right, but there was no breathalyzer, no blood test. And based on his report alone, she lost her license for several months.
But then, in court, the story changed.
It completely unraveled. The judge zeroed in on the fact that Wagner, under oath, admitted he made a mistake and submitted a false report.
And the judge's reaction was pretty extreme.
He used a legal nuclear option. He granted a motion for judgment notwithstanding the verdict, or JOA.
That's incredibly rare, right?
Almost never happens. It means the judge decides the jury's verdict was so unsupported by the evidence that it simply cannot stand. He basically said the officer's testimony was so contradictory and lacked any probable cause that the conviction was void.
And he didn't mince words?
Not at all. When the state's attorney tried to defend the officer, the judge just flew off the handle. He called out the blatant lie, the perjury, and said, "You're done. Motion JOA is granted." It's the ultimate judicial veto.
So we've moved from lies on the stand to outright brutal criminality. Let's shift to the cases where the courts had to deliver maximum accountability.
Starting with the 2015 beating of Floyd Dent by Officer William Melendez.
The details of this one are just sickening.
They are. It was a minor traffic stop. The judge, in his sentencing, recounted the dash cam footage. He called it the eye of justice.
What did that eye of justice see?
It saw Dent being pulled from his car, thrown to the ground, struck 16 times in the head by Melendez, kicked, and then tased by multiple officers.
But the behavior after the beating was almost worse.
In some ways, yes. The video shows the officers fist-bumping afterward, celebrating.
And back at the station.
The video captured them making fun of Mr. Dent, mimicking him struggling, all while they're wiping his blood off their uniforms with disinfectant wipes.
It's not just excessive force, it's celebratory cruelty.
And that's what the judge condemned. He sentenced Melendez to 13 months to 10 years in prison, calling it cowardly acts of barbaric behavior. The camera that was supposed to protect the officer ended up being the unblinking witness that convicted him.
That betrayal of trust gets even more sinister in the case of Michael Dew, the former officer from Edison.
Yeah, his misconduct wasn't a single act of violence. It was a campaign of retaliation that went on for almost 2 decades.
Including firebombing his supervisor's home.
Just unbelievable. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The judge's language was severe. He said, "Do wrong represents the worst that we can possibly expect from someone in my society."
And the prosecutor made a really stunning statement after the sentencing.
He did. He said they had surgically removed the cancerous officers from the Edison Police Department, and that 4 of them were tied directly to the Dew investigation. That's a rare public admission of a deep systemic rot.
And finally, the ultimate consequence. Take that deal.
You would think so.
Huh.
But Pate just stalls in court. He tells the judge it's difficult for me to enter a guilty plea, that he doesn't want the court to think he's trying to minimize any responsibility.
He was trying to manage his public image.
He was prioritizing his pride over his freedom, and the judge had absolutely no time for it.
What did he do?
When Pate kept arguing, the Commonwealth moved to revoke his bond, and the judge, focused on procedure and clearly fed up, just immediately sustained it.
He sent him to jail right then and there.
Instantly. He told him, "I've already ruled, we're done." He's going into jail today. Revoked his bond, took him into custody. The price of his arrogance was immediate incarceration. He eventually had to come back and take the 75-day sentence anyway.
What a spectrum of cases. From perjury that gets a verdict thrown out, to celebratory violence, to homicide, all meeting with some kind of severe judicial action.
It really paints a full picture of accountability, but only when the system is properly leveraged.
And what's the common thread? It seems to be video evidence. The eye of justice, as that one judge called it.
Video is critical, but so is the courage of the judges. Judges willing to use rare tools like the JOA, or to hand down maximum sentences and make it clear that a badge is not a shield.
It all comes back to that core idea of public trust.
It does.
So here's the final thought for you, the listener. In all these cases, where the evidence was just a mountain of video, recordings, and testimony, justice was eventually delivered.
But does the fact that so much of this misconduct went unpunished for years highlight a deep flaw in the internal systems?
Or does the final definitive reckoning in a courtroom prove that the judge, armed with technology and legal authority, is the ultimate check on unchecked power?
What mechanism do you think is the most reliable eye of justice? Is it judicial, is it technological, or is it public pressure?